Hey everyone, welcome to another Thursday Night Live Lovecraft Easing podcast. As always, let me know that you can see me and hear me. That'd be great if you're watching live. If you're watching later, I have news. You can see me and hear me. For those watching live, I'm sorry I'm about 5 minutes late. Man, it really snuck up on me. I was doing some reading. All of a sudden, I look up and it's 8:57. So thanks, Alan. Well, let's see. Alan, hi. Darren, Dave. Darren, I don't know if you saw, but a few hours ago I answered your question um, about the uh, detective series. Excuse me. On Thursday, I read a story from Paul F. Olson's collection, Whispered Echoes, with permission, of course. Um, and we're going to get him back on the podcast sometime this summer, spring or summer. Um, but it's set in the UP, Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Well, it made me think of a detective series I started a long time ago, like in the mid to late 90s. And I mentioned it, but I couldn't think of the name. Darren reminded me of it, and it's the Alec McKnight series. Um, the first book is called A Cold Day in Paradise. And the geography, the location, the weather, all of that is almost like another character in these books. In one, did I put this? Yes, I did write this down. Alec McKnight series, A Cold Day in Paradise by Steve Hamilton. I noticed I did a lot of highlighting in that book. A character in the book describes that place, the Upper Peninsula, where they are specifically as, quote, this godforsaken frozen cliff at the end of the world. And the series where they are is a small town called Paradise, which I believe exists, which is right on the border between. It's separated by a body of water, part of the lake between that and Canada. And it's winter when in the first book, and I don't know. Uh, yeah. If you're interested in things like that, if you liked Paul Olson's book, um, this is a detective series. It's not weird fiction, it's not horror, but I really loved it. So there you go. Check it out. Thanks for reminding me, Darren. By the way, Tuesday, something was wrong with my mic apparently. I played a little bit of the podcast back on Wednesday just to double check it, like I always do. And I was like, damn, my voice is really, really loud. And Logan fixed that for me. But let me know if it's something like that happens ever. Please comment in the side chat or whatever. Let me know. But I guess my first question is, did you guys notice that, and how do I sound tonight? So, Edward, hello, and Darren, obviously, um, Suzanne, Chaz, Darren. Have I ever read the Chronicles of Amber series by Roger Zelazny? Oh yes, oh yes, I have. Read it when I was a kid. I don't know how many times I've read it. I love that series, as does Laird. Um, in fact, if you've read it, you'll get this. But I have him on my phone settings. I told him this uh, as Benedict, who is Corwin's older brother, one of his older brothers, but the one that he really I guess looks up to, really. In the yeah. So yeah, my nickname for Laird is Benedict, just based on those Amber series. If you've read it, you probably know what I'm going to say next. Oh, thanks, Jess. Is that the first five books deal with Corwin, and the next five books are the protagonist is his son Merlin, and it's Roger Zelazny, so they're good. But the first five in the series is what I keep coming back to, and yeah, when I first read this, I was probably 11 or 12, and I was fascinated because it on the first page it starts off with this guy in the hospital, and he's completely lost his memory, and he figures out quickly that they've been drugging him to keep him keeping him drugged up. So he has no idea who he is, and unless we've read the back cover as the reader, we don't either. And I don't think I did. I think I checked it out of the library and I just read a couple of paragraphs on the first page. And to find out as Corwin finds out who he is, the reader finds out. And what starts off as a book set in the quote unquote real world, um, it it turns into a modern fantasy series. And it's just that's all I want to say. But yes, if I don't talk about that series enough, um, but I just love it. If you read Laird's work, you can see how he has many influences, but one of his influences is definitely Roger Zelazny. And a few years back, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I had Roger Zelazny's son Trent on the show. Trent was a really nice person and great to speak with. I had Laird on that show as well, and it was good for me, and I could tell it was good for Laird to be able to tell Trent that his father got him through some really tough times when he as a child, and ditto for me. Um, Unfortunately, Trent passed away just a few months ago. Um, I don't know why the night we seem to be losing all the wonderful, nice people. Um, but yes, it was a really I loved that episode with Trent and Laird, and I could see as a friend how good it was for Laird to be able to tell Trent that, and um, he was emotional a little bit about it, and so was I. Yes, Lord of Light. Yeah, he's written far more than just the Amber series, of course, although that's my favorite, along with A Night in the Lonesome October, which we talk about pretty regularly on the podcast. And Jakester, Cthulhu's right. We should correlate all we know. And hello, Sean. I don't know if I've seen you here before. If I have, forgive me. I have a lot of people to keep track of. I'm sorry, but welcome. Yeah, and thanks to all of you for spending part of your Thursday evening with me. And if you're a patron at the $10 and up level, as always, we'll be doing a hangout tomorrow night. If you've never been on these hangouts, we do them every Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, and they're a lot of fun. It's the Patreons and the panelists, and it's not broadcast or recorded. and it that tier helps me a lot financially as well. So, there are people. How many people usually hang out, Dave? It really depends. It can be um, depends. It can be 7 or 8, or it can be a dozen to 12, 13, 14. Just depends. And there are some people who come almost every Friday, and then there are others who will come, and then 3 weeks later they're back, and so forth. But and Alan would tell you this too, not to speak for him, but we have we have wonderful memories of, and Ben said this too, Ben Handelman, a panelist and a patron, said that they have wonderful memories of being on these hangouts with Rick, and just being able to hang out with him and chat with him, and those are great memories. Um, there are some people who cannot afford $5 a month. There are some people who really cannot afford $10 a month. And I understand that. And please, if you can't, hey, watch my show forever for free. And we love that you're in the community. Um, so watch the Sunday show, tonight's show, the Tuesday night show. But if you can't afford $5 a month or $10 a month, I would sure appreciate it, especially now. Um, there's a lot happening in education right now, and I won't get into it, but right now my wife's job is on the line. We don't know what's going to happen. We hope to find out within the next couple of weeks, and it's all I'll say at this point is that it's through no fault of hers. So, um, so yeah, if you can afford $5 or $10 a month, um, please join the Patreon. Just Google Lovecraft Ezine Patreon, or patreon.com/Lovecraft Ezine. Um, Having said that, you get a hell of a lot back. We do several, oh gosh, at least 3 Patreon podcasts a month, and that's at the $5 level and up. And gosh, this Patreon's been around for 5 or 6 years now, so you have a hell of a lot of really cool Patreon podcasts to go back and listen to. And I've got the deep back. I didn't mean to turn this into a commercial, but the Patreon excites me with all the stuff that we do. There's the deep background series where I talk with who I'm talking with, a writer or a creative person, and usually when I interview a writer on Sundays, when we interview a writer, we're talking about their latest work, and talking about horror and weird fiction and everything, and that's great. But in the deep background series, we're talking about um, who is this person? For example, uh, John Langan is one of the people I interviewed in the deep background. Ramsey Campbell, Nadia Volkin. Those are just 3 examples. Livia Llewellyn was my first one, and but okay, so who is this? Who is this Ramsey person? How did he get into writing horror? What happened? What happened to turn him into the person that he is today? What happened to turn John Langan into the person that he is today? So it's about the background of the person. And there are plenty of Patreon podcasts that you can listen to where Rick is expounding on various topics. And as you guys know, Rick knew everything. So Alan says that was great talking to Rick. And oh God, I forgot about that, Alan. I'm still willing to buy someone a 6-month Patreon. That's my fault. I didn't get the word out on that. But I'm writing myself a note right now, Alan. I'll do it tomorrow. 6-month Patreon gift. So, yeah, I'll stop talking about the Patreon. Darren said, love the deep background on their Baron. Well, he's a friend. I had to do one, right? I wanted to make him feel important. No, that's because he is important. But anyway, enough about the Patreon. Thank you to everyone who is a Patreon. If it wasn't for you, my family would be in a world of hurt, and there would be no more Lovecraft teasing. So, uh, yes, it is super generous. Good point, Chaz. Thank you, Alan, for wanting to buy someone a 6-month gift certificate to the Patreon. And if you want that person to be you, email me if you're not a Patreon yet. Uh, lovecrafteasing@gmail.com, and I will get the word out elsewhere too. And then I go to random.org to do random drawings, and I'll randomly pick out a winner from that. Okay, lovecrafteasing, at gmail.com. All right, so what else do I have lined up to talk about? Okay, so this is episode 42 of the Thursday night Lovecraft Easy and edition, late night. And I was writing that down in the show title, and I thought, wow, episode 42. And of course, I immediately thought of Douglas Adams, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Um, I'm sure you guys are all familiar, but um, the answer to life, the universe, and everything was 42. And I forget how long in the Hitchhiker's Guide that they'd had a supercomputer working on that question. And then when the computer, I need to reread that series. It's been decades. But when the computer spit out the answer 42, they realized that they didn't know the question. So that's a real funny series. I love it. For those of you who have read the Hitchhiker's Guide, what did you think of the movie? I thought they did pretty well. Nothing's going to duplicate the humor in the book, but um, yeah. So it's episode 42. So I thought I'd talk about um, life, the universe, and everything. So I will do that in a moment. Uh, what does this mean? Sometimes I write notes and I don't even. Oh, I know what this means. Um, I'll post about this too. But if you're not aware of this, go to the Lovecraft Easing website, and when you do that, at the top, if you're on a PC or a laptop, at the top you'll see a bunch of choices. If you're on your phone, you'll see a bunch of choices under that 3-line menu jobby thing. Anyway, one of the choices is um, Patreon and podcast. Oh, community and events. It's the fourth one. So I just updated that, and it's a great way to keep abreast of what's going on. So I realized, gosh, almost every night now we've got something going on at Lovecraft Easing. Um, and I also have a link to the podcast alert mailing list there. But anyway, go there. It's Sundays at 6 p.m., the regular podcast. Tuesdays at 10 p.m. These are all Eastern times I'm reading out. Um, live horror readings by me. Wednesdays at 8 p.m. This is the new one. Game night. Logan and I are going to finish our live stream of uh, No One Lives Under the Lighthouse horror games. When we're done with that, Alan and I are going to do something. The point is, we're going to be playing horror games live. And just like this, if you can't watch it live, you can watch it later. But it'll basically be Logan and I playing a game, or Alan and I playing a game. And those two know what they're doing. And I'll try to supply the witty repartee. Um, Thursdays at wait, I gotta change this. Change this from 11 to 10. Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, Thursday Night Live. Probably know that since you're watching me right now. Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, Patreon Hangout, Deep One, Tiers, and Up. All of these have links, by the way. So I've tried to make this as easy as possible for everyone. Saturdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Movie Night. And that's welcome to everyone. You don't have to be a patron. The only one of these that you have to be a patron for is Friday at the Friday Hangout. But Matt runs movie night. Usually starts around 9:30 p.m. Eastern. You can stay in the loop on that by following the posts at the Lovecraft Zine group on Facebook. The group, not the big page. Um, if you're not a member, just ask to join. We'll approve you. Unless you're a bot, then we won't approve you. And Matt will post in there about those. And we've also got a Facebook Messenger list. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. They watch horror movies. Sometimes I pop in. They watch horror movies and text chat on the side while they watch them. So you literally are watching a horror movie with other people. And so, yeah, just go to Lovecraft Ezine's website and click on Community and Events, one of the choices at the top. And I need to change that 11 p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Okay. All right. Now, what else do I have here? What do we have here? What do we have here? Why is it called the Chat of Shame on movie night, Chaz? Darren says, I am embarrassed to say I've never read Philip K. Dick. You know what, Darren? That's okay. Don't be embarrassed. I mean, all of our TBR piles are huge, right? You know what? I never read Lovecraft until I was about 20. I grew up reading voraciously, but I just never got around to him. He wasn't even on my radar. Read a lot of Ray Bradbury and science fiction, things like that, and then it was only later that I got into horror. So there are many writers that we all still haven't read. It's just we're all slowly trying to whittle down that TBR pile somewhat before we die, right? So yeah, there you go. Dave says he didn't read Lovecraft till he was 35. You might think I grew up reading Lovecraft, but I didn't. I actually got into Lovecraft, into cosmic horror, not due to Lovecraft himself, and not due to gaming, as you might think, and not due to movies. It was actually due to reading Lovecraftian short stories that I would like pick up at Barnes and Noble or whatnot, and I kept reading these cosmic horror short stories, and I thought, I really love this. And then I realized, it's called Lovecraftian for a reason, and then I got into reading the actual H.P. Lovecraft stories. So yeah, nothing to be embarrassed about. Just pick one up, and trying to think if it's been a while since I read Philip K. Dick, but I'm currently reading, and this will probably take me forever. I'm currently reading the Exegesis of Philip K. Dick, and look at how thick that puppy is. A great and calamitous sequence of arguments with the universe, poignant, terrifying, ludicrous, and brilliant. The Exegesis is the sort of book associated with legends and madmen, but Dick wasn't a legend and he wasn't mad. He lived among us and he was a genius. It's from one of the editors. Based on thousands of pages, typed and handwritten notes, journal entries, letters, and story sketches. The exegesis of Philip K. Dick is the magnificent and imaginative final work of an author who dedicated his life to questioning the nature of reality and perception, the malleability of space and time, and the relationship between the human and the divine. In the exegesis, he documents his 8-year attempt to fathom what he called 2374, a postmodern visionary experience of the entire universe, quote, transformed into information. In a freewheeling voice that ranges through personal confession, esoteric scholarship, dream accounts, and fictional fugues, Dick tried to write his way into the heart of a cosmic mystery that tested his powers of imagination and invention to the limit. So, you can see how thick that is. I also have it on Kindle for highlighting purposes. I saw it for $1.99 one time and grabbed that. Dave says, off to your right, is that one of the albums with the crazy awesome art on the vinyl? No, though I do have those thanks to the publishers. This is one of the books I'm giving away to the top 3 tiers of the Patreon. By that I mean, in addition to the regular books that I send them, I've started doing um, random drawings for them. So right now, I'm probably going to do this tomorrow or over the weekend. I'm randomly picking a winner for this H.P. Lovecraft Nightmare Countries, and this, which is a book slash game. It's really, really cool, guys. Whoever wins this is going to be very entertained. Of course, you can buy one if you don't. I mean, I don't get any money, but it's just letting you know about it. Trying to remember the publisher and well, it's called Book of Asmodeus, Augmented Reality Horror Book. Okay, just take a look at that and just Google that if you want to buy it. I can't remember how much it is. And then the third prize I'm giving away this time, and then I'll cycle through and I'll give more random prizes away to Patreons. This is a really cool prize, huh? This is from the best of the HP Lovecraft film festivals, and there are many others that they have. So you can see 4 DVDs there, and with things on them like let's see, best of 2015. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 short films on this. So whoever gets this will really have a great time with that. So that's what that is, Dave. Thanks for asking. I was going to mention that, and then I forgot to. And you and Darren are helping me to remember things. So yeah, that's what that is. Let's put this here. See how cool that looks. That looks pretty cool, yeah. So the post office is within walking distance of our house. So that's great. So that's what that is, and whoever wins those, gonna really enjoy them, I think. All right. Oh, a little while ago, outside after the sun went down, for the first time this year, I saw fireflies. I always love that. First firefly night of the year. Um, I want to tell you about a couple other things, and then I want to talk about cemetery dance, and I want to talk about my particular answers to life, the universe, and everything. Jakester, you talk. Oh, I'm blanking on Bruno Scholes. If only there was some way that I could look him up, right? Oh, okay. I don't think I've read much of his stuff. So, see, Darren, there you go. Don't be embarrassed you haven't read Philip K. Dick. Um, you and Chaz can talk about it. There you go. Chaz is very well read as well. All right, so first of all, John Linwood Grant, who's a writer and editor and a great guy, has a Kickstarter that's 3 days away from it's 3 days away from it no longer being a Kickstarter. And I'm not bringing it up so that we save John on this because it's a $500 goal, and so far he's got 89 backers and he's made over $2,500 on it. So it'll fund. But this just looks so cool. This book is called A Darker Continent: Strange Tales of Europe at War, edited by John Linwood Grant. By the way, if you haven't read John Linwood Grant's short stories, you definitely should. Pick up one of his collections. Bellinger Books is excited to present A Darker Continent: Strange Tales of Europe at War, our second collection of all new strange and weird fiction written by talented contemporary authors. Yes, Jazz, I want it too. This unique volume explores the impact of the Second World War on civilians and military alike, with 17 brand new tales spanning from Ireland to the Adriatic Sea, from Portugal to the Russian forests. Witness the struggle for survival during war and the sacrifices which must be made, the monsters inside us, and those on our doorsteps. There are ghosts, and the ghosts of dark and terrible deeds, incomprehensible threats, and the inevitable losses that come with such conflicts. Some come out alive, none come out unchanged. Um, I'm going to put the link to that in the side chat here. Again, uh, I don't I don't make any money if you contribute to this. I just want to let you know about it because it looks really cool, and I'm looking forward to reading it. Um, so there's that, and I wanted to make you guys aware of a new Cody Goodfellow book coming up. Not a new Cody Goodfellow. One is enough, Cody. New Tomorrow by Cody Goodfellow. I believe it's out on June 15th, July 15th. Let me see. July 15th, 2025. Um, and you can pre-order it. So I mean, I encourage you to do so. And that's another thing. Obviously he has other books out there too. If you've not read Cody Goodfellow, man, are you in for a treat. I mean, you really are. You are in for a treat. Um, this book, as America reels in the depths of the Great Depression, munitions heiress Matilda Lynch battles gangsters and anarchists in the armor of Silver Century, never suspecting that her most dangerous enemy is right behind her. Petty thief Spider McGowan escaped jail but was forced to don a cursed mask. to become the infamous White Devil, but using evil to destroy evil will leave him powerless before the greatest threat the world has ever known. Joined by Kid Amoeba, a single-celled invader from another world. See, Cody writes such surreal stuff. And the Haywire Gang, identical triplets who wreak havoc on all they touch. These unlikely heroes will become enemies of the nation they protect when they discover the unspeakable truth behind a miraculous invention that promises to lift America's elite out of economic despair and let them colonize the stars. Swashbuckling pulp fiction and mind-boggling mysteries await all those who dare to explore the strange world of New Tomorrow. Well, the first thing I would say about New Tomorrow by Cody Goodfellow, yes, you're welcome, is this is right up Rick Street. He would have loved to read this. He was such an expert on, well, everything, but definitely on pulp. He just loved Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction, that was, but and I think that Ben Handelman and Alan Hughes will really enjoy this too. Um, but yeah, go ahead and pre-order that if it looks like something that you're going to buy anyway at some point. And pre-ordering it um, is a real good is a real shot in the arm for the author and for the publisher. So I am going to have Cody on to talk about it somewhere around that time when the book is published on July the 15th. Yeah, I thought you'd especially like this, Alan. um, okay, I talked about Alex McKnight, Paradise Books, and one last book real quick. I want to talk about that I think these aren't commercials. These are things that I think you guys are legit interested in. And one of the major things I do here is book recommendations. And this one is called Stay on the Line by Clay Chapman. Clay McLeod Chaplin. It's available on Kindle at a really good price, $4.99. It's available on paperback, and it has been for since last July. But what I want to talk about is that the audiobook is um, upcoming, and it's got several narrators, and I I'm gonna probably listen to it tonight as when I'm in bed. Um, After a small coastal town is devastated by a hurricane, the survivors gravitate toward a long, out-of-service payphone in hopes of talking out their grief and saying goodbye to their loved ones, only for it to begin ringing on its own. As more townspeople answer the call, friends and family believed to have been lost to the storm begin searching for a way back home. I want to see if I can find I found out about this. I think it was one of Clay's Facebook posts, and I'm going to have him on the show um, to talk about this too. I think I already emailed him in case I didn't. There we go. He sent me he had his publisher send me a um, copy of the audio, or send me the audio book. So I'm looking forward to that. Um, And I don't know here. Huh. Stay on the line. Let's try that. All right, here we go. Well, this is. Oh, here we go. I found the audiobook thing. All right, this is the post that made me aware of it. Shortwave Books, new, the audiobook for Clay McLeod Chaplin's book, Stay on the Line, is coming June 10th. This is an immersive, unabridged audio production with multiple voices and is enhanced with several sound effects. Um, so Clay's books are always great, but you guys know how much I love audiobooks, especially, as they say, enhanced audiobooks and audio drama. Now, this is not an audio drama, but it is definitely an enhanced audiobook. And if you enjoy audiobooks, then this is something you definitely want to pre-order. So there you go. I told you about that. And I know, well, there are a lot of things that make it to my desk, so to speak, or my emails. And I tell you guys about the ones that I think are the coolest, the best, the ones that I think you'd enjoy the most. So yeah, check out Clay's audiobook. Check out Cody's book, A New Tomorrow. A Darker Continent, Lovecraftian Tales of the World at War by John Linwood Grant. So, why is everybody saying wow, Dave? Did I miss something? Oh, there it is. Oh. Dave says, I've been dying to tell you after 17 years of teaching and thousands of students, I have one named Obed. That's awesome. Oh, is his last name Marsh? Because that would be really, really great. But no, that's pretty cool. Um, all right. So that is all of that. You know, one of the questions that I ask people that I interview more often than not, pretty regularly. I try to do it every time. Once in a while, I forget. And that question is, what does success mean to you? What has to happen for you to feel successful? I've asked that of many writers, many artists, other creative people, whatever whatever their area they're creative in. Um, and I love the different answers that I get. I suppose, you'd consider someone successful if they sold millions of books or works of art or whatnot, or if their podcast has 1 million listeners or whatever, and they make a lot of money and so on and so forth. Yes, unfortunately, money is always there. We have to have money to eat and live and to pay our bills and our rent, our mortgage. Um, so a lot of money is great, but I think it's one metric of success, but I have very few people who answer the question with money. Um, I thought I've never answered that question on a podcast, and so that's what I'm going to do tonight. Um, If someone wants to hand me $1 million for some project I'm working on or doing, that'd be great. I'll take it. I'm not gonna say I wouldn't. Um, I'd love that. It seems unlikely to happen. Um, and I don't really think of success in those terms. I don't spend much money. Even when I made a lot of money in real estate before I got sick, I mean, if I have, you know, if my family is happy, that's number one. And even back then, when I had money, if, I've got a book to read that interests me, or I can spend money on a book, go to Barnes and Noble and buy a book and read it, or whatever, I'm pretty happy. Um, Successful, what has to happen in order for me to feel like successful? And, part of this question, it could be rephrased as, what do you want out of life? Really, really, what do you want out of life? And have most people sat down and asked themselves that question and come up with an answer? Well, if you haven't, maybe you should. My answer is one, as I said a moment ago, number one, I want my wife and my son to be happy. That is truly number one. Putting that aside for the moment though, and just talking about me only, one of the biggest things that I want out of life just is peace. You know, um, I really, really just want peace. I've lived a life when I was young, how I grew up, and it it was the opposite of peace. And for a very long time, I was trying to, I guess I still am in some ways, deal with the repercussions of that. But I just I don't want drama in my life. Some people seem to exist for drama, and that's fine. If that's what makes you happy, seriously, no judgments here. But I want nothing more really than, not nothing, but very few more other things than to live a quiet, contented life. What has to happen to make me feel successful? Well, um, I don't have to be the biggest or make the largest splash with whatever I'm doing. Yeah, the podcast, anything I write or will write in the future, um, anything like that. I see a lot of people that they're competitive and they base their happiness on that. And if they see that someone else is making more money than them, or uh, if I think a lot of people subconsciously compare themselves to others, and social media really contributes to that, unfortunately. And I think it causes a lot of unhappiness. Nothing wrong with social media used right, but I think that many times you'll see people's best sides represented on Facebook or Instagram or Blue Sky or whatever. And people can look at their own lives and go, well, geez, my life isn't anywhere near that good. Maybe they don't even think of that consciously. Um, but I truly, and this is the thing to say, right? If you're this um, really well-rounded person, then this is the thing you're supposed to say, right? I guess. But I really do feel this way. I don't need to be bigger than anyone. I don't need to be the best. I spend a lot of time on this podcast and, related projects. And, you know, if 100,000 people a week started listening, yeah, that's great. I'll take it. And I do strive to level up, if you know what I mean. But my success meter comes from elsewhere. It comes from people sending me notes that the podcast has really helped them, or it made their day better, when they were having a bad day. That sort of thing makes me feel successful. I mean, success is not something I obsess over, but just answering the question, what has to happen for me to feel that way, to feel successful? It's things like that, you know, um, knowing that what I am doing is making a difference, even a little bit of a difference. If I'm making someone's day better, if I help somebody through a tough time. um, I have a friend who I guess I never would have guessed this, but I finally thought to ask him recently how did he discover the podcast? Because that's how we became friends, through the Lovecraft Easing community. Um, and he said that he had been going through a really tough time several years back and discovered the podcast, and it it helped him through that tough time. And I was blown away. I would not have suspected that at all. And it made me feel great. Um, things like that. Making someone's life better, making someone's day better is something that does make me feel successful. That makes me feel that I'm making a difference. So many of us, we can't make a difference on the world stage, right? Um, but we can make our little corner of the world better for others and for ourselves. We can make it kinder. Um, and if everybody did that, tried to make their little corner of the world better in that way, pretty soon we'd have a hell of a lot of places in the world that were better. If you can't change the world, don't worry about it. Change your little corner of the world. Even maybe you don't think that there's something you do to make the world better, but even if, let's say you're a bus driver or an Uber driver, and I read a story once about a bus driver who had been doing the same route for years, and he said that his every day he had plenty of people who smiled at him, but if he had someone get on the bus who did not smile at him, he would make it his business to make that person smile before the bus ride was over. In other words, if they were having a bad day, he wanted to make it better, even if it was just for a few minutes, you know? Um, that's what I'm talking about. Like Angel said in the TV series, the smallest act of kindness is the greatest thing in the world. And it's for me, it's less about will be remembered after I'm gone or anything like that. I'll tell you what, even if you are remembered after you're gone, there will come a point in time in the future where you're not remembered. That's just all there is to it. Conan O'Brien said that eventually all of our graves are untended. And it's very true. Eventually it happens. Eventually enough time has gone by that no one remembers you. That's okay. That's just the way it is. But for the time that you're here, are you making the lives of those around you better? Um, that is how I measure success. And there really is something to the old, we're not trying to be the biggest, we just want to be the best. Well, okay, not the best, whatever that means. I'm not trying to be the biggest. I just want to be I want to be a podcast and a person and make a splash in the sense that, in my little corner, I've made the world a bit better. Or I can't, if you're going through a tough time, can I change that? Well, no, probably not. But I can have a place where others can go to on Thursday night or Sunday evening or Tuesday nights or whatever. And for a little while, they can forget about their troubles, you know? I don't know. I probably sound like a Hallmark card, and I realize that, but it's all very sincere. It I I I mean it. And at the same time, if somebody hands me a lot of money, then I'm not gonna turn it away. If somebody hands me an award, I won't turn it away. I will say thank you, and I'll mean it. But I don't I don't go after those things. Um, so let's talk about something a little, and there's a reason why Alan says, "Don't knock Hallmark; they can change your life." There's a reason why I personally admire people who are quote unquote successful in terms of, they're a writer and now suddenly they've made it big, whatever that means, and um, they're making they've got a lot of readers, and um, they're making a lot of money doing what they're doing, and that's great. I'm glad they broke through. But I admire people who have broken through like that, who are still good people. You know what I mean? They're still kind people. Um, there are so many examples I could name, but the first one that comes to mind is Paul Tremblay. I mean, geez, he's friends with Stephen King. He uh, he had a famous director do one of his movies. Um, whether the movie is great or not, a movie was made. Um, the book was great. Um, but he's just the nicest guy. He's a good guy. He's a good friend, and he's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. I guess you'd say success didn't go to his head. He's still the same nice person that he was before the success. I bring this up to say that there are also some people who are well known and successful that apparently they're jerks. One of those who I thought was a really nice guy, I've actually interviewed him twice. The last time was, I don't know, a year ago, something like that. Richard Chismore, speaking of friends of Stephen King. And he was I'm not a friend of his. I've talked to him twice and, emailed him back and forth a few times about various things. But apparently his press cemetery dance has a reputation that I didn't know about personally, which is um, they don't pay on time, and they're notorious for it apparently. And so Todd Kiesling has a book published through them. And let me pull this up. And he finally was frustrated and emailed Richard Chismar and said, I really need to get paid for this. And he posted about I've it's been 0 days since I've had to chase Cemetery Dance Publications and Richard Chismar for past due royalties. Why am I talking about this? I'll tell you in a second. But number one, I'm not giving away secrets here. These are all public posts. There are a lot of people talking about this, and he took screenshots, thankfully. Um, in the email, Todd writes, royalties were due March 31st at the latest. Cemetery Dance is approaching 1 month past due. I depend on that income. Please advise. Um, Richard has this. He posts a laughing emoji or whatever it is, and says, "I'll pass it on to the folks who take care of that." Todd replied, "I'm not sure why you're laughing, Rich. Aren't you the person who signs the checks?" Now, at that point, let's say this was an isolated incident, and that every small to medium press publisher has been late with royalties, right? Okay, it can happen. But Rich is when the writer says to you, "Dude, I need to get paid." I mean, I think the response should be, "Holy crap, you're right. This fell through the cracks, and I'm gonna correct this immediately and make sure that you get paid." That's the proper response. So again, Ted replies, "Not sure why you're laughing, Rich. Aren't you, in caps, the person who signs the checks?" Rich Chismar didn't respond with that. He responds with, "Because you're a funny little man." Just effing unbelievable. Um, Todd posted about it and posted the screenshots on Facebook. He writes, just in. Apparently, I am a funny little man." And Rich Chismar replies on Facebook. He replies, "You definitely are." Funny little man. I mean, if someone told me, "Hey, you're funny," you make me, I'd be like, "Oh, great. I'm going to tell my son that my jokes are funny because he doesn't think they are." And, thanks. But this is not that, obviously. If someone said to me, "Mike, you're a funny little man," yeah, I would be offended. Anyway, Rich replies in public on Facebook. When Todd says, "Apparently I'm a funny little man," Rich replies, he doubles down on it. He goes, "You definitely are. I'll make sure your 3 weeks late royalties are paid as soon as Dan runs the numbers. Should be next week. Best of luck with your new release." Um, Todd replies, "Go F yourself, man. Dan run the numbers in February. It may be funny to you, but I'm not laughing. I depend on that money," which is, I think, something that people with money forget about those of us who don't have it. Stoker Con, or excuse me, the HWA, Horror Writers Association, said, due to recent information coming to light, Cemetery Dance will not be allowed to hear pictures, Cemetery Dance will not be allowed to hear pitches during StokerCon. Hey, Jeremiah. The Horror Writers Association stands up for the rights of its members, including the right to receive royalties as contracted, to have their works published as contracted, and to have its members treated with civility and respect. Cemetery Dance appears to be lacking in all those areas. Todd Kiesling is, and now I'm reading from File 770, his website. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that. Todd Kiesling is the author whose experience at the hands of cemetery dance publisher Richard Chismar led to HWA's action. It seems he finally did get paid. Several authors have followed up with comments. Several authors have followed up with comments about having to, I don't know what DUN means, done cemetery dance for payment. Writer named Mark, these are all public, so writer named Mark says, I worked with cemetery dance in the past, and I never got paid unless I pestered. Never. For the ebook I had with them, I also never got any kind of sales figures unless I pestered. I was so excited to finally be publishing with them and was disappointed when I was treated only as an afterthought. I truly felt like you had to be Stephen King or work for the company to be treated like you mattered. There were individual people in the company that I enjoyed working with, but the overall experience left a bad taste in my mouth. Alan Baxter, friend of ours, I've never once been paid by cemetery dance without chasing it up first. It's par for the course with small press, but I really hoped for better from CD. Um, on and on and on. In fact, speaking of Paul F. Olson, as I was Tuesday night, he wrote, I'm sorry this happened to you, Todd. As I posted elsewhere today, I've had 4 books published with Cemetery Dance and have the scars to prove it. Months long battles to receive author copies of my books. Even longer battles to see a simple royalty statement. Forget about the actual royalties. I've seen several people suggest that this is a recent turn of events, but as we veterans can attest, it's been going on for years. Now, the thing about cemetery dance is this is on the bucket list of a lot of uh, on a lot of newer writers' bucket lists to be published by Cemetery Dance, and to find out that they operate like this is disappointing, to say the least. Um, it's Danielle. I'm sorry, my wife's name is Danielle, as you know. Danielle writes in the side chat, there are many, many stories about Chismar's gross behavior. It isn't just in regards to not paying people either. Earlier he writes, there's so much else that hasn't come out yet, but it will soon. Um, yeah, I thought he was a nice guy too. Apparently I was wrong. But, the thing is, uh, the other part of this is, let me see if I can find it, is Todd wrote something that in his post that I really appreciated. And give me a second and I'll find it. Sorry about this. I thought I had it on one of my many open tabs here, but apparently I do not. But I know I can find it quickly. Um, by the way, Todd Kiesling has a new book out called The Sundowners Dance. You should check it out. He is rocking that beard. that are better than my beard. Here's a post from the 29th. That would be 2 days ago. I sent an email to Writer Beware, which I guess is a site that makes sure that writers are aware of things like this. I sent an email to Writer Beware regarding the situation with Cemetery Dance. I know many of you have your own stories to tell, so if you've been burned by this press, I strongly encourage you to reach out to them and share your issues. Don't let this guy, speaking of Chismar, don't let this guy bully you into silence any more than he already has. I'm sure in the past, people have been afraid to speak up about this because the guy is friends with Stephen King. The guy uh, is, as you say, he's a well-known figure in the horror community, and it's easy to see how that would intimidate some writers. If they haven't been paid, they might have been too afraid to speak up, to maybe that they get blacklisted or something. I don't know. That's my guess. But the, Todd didn't let that happen to him. He spoke up. And when he spoke up, he did a favor for other current writers who have been burnt. He did a favor for um, tomorrow's writers, you know, and he's raising a flag and saying, look, this is how they treated me. I know that Cemetery Dance is on your bucket list probably, but yeah, don't publish there or this could happen to you. And that takes a lot of courage, is my point. Because you don't know when you're making a post like that, you don't know if the internet is going to agree with you. You don't know if 95% of the people out there are going to reply to your post and say, "Oh, that's surprising. They treated me great." Um, you don't know what's going to happen, and that has happened to people. Not about Cemetery Dance, but in that kind of some situation. Um, Someone else writes, Sif Louise, if I'm saying this person's name right. There is something so sad about learning that the owner of a press you used to respect, support, and love has been taking advantage of their position and persistently not paying their authors for the work they've done. Um, yeah, well said. Okay, I found the post I wanted from Todd about this. It's dated on his Facebook page. It's a public post on the 27th of April, 2025. I'm not going to read the whole post because it's long, but he says at the beginning, I want to make some things clear and call attention to a few other things. First, Cemetery Dance's staff had nothing to do with the exchange on Friday. If you're going to post about the situation, single out the owner, that would be Chismar, as the culprit, not the people who work for him. Dan Franklin and Lisa LaBelle are wonderful people who have been supportive of authors, including myself, and they do not deserve any abuse. Second, this wasn't the first time I've had to chase my publisher for money. Speaking of Cemetery Dance, apparently it's ongoing. I won't read all of that. You can. Third, it's my understanding that there have been individuals who have been trying to raise the flag on this press and their practices for nearly 20 years. They've either been ignored by the greater writing community, dismissed by our organizations, or silenced for fear of being blacklisted due to the owner's affiliation with Stephen King. All scenarios are unacceptable if we truly are a writing community. We must stand together in times like this. We don't have the benefit of a union representing us or defending us. If someone is speaking up about mistreatment, non-payment, or any other sort of abuse by a publisher, we need to do better and listen. More importantly, we can't be afraid to speak up. The whisper network and general silence on issues like this are what enable bad actors to take advantage. Um, that paragraph, more than anything, is why I'm talking about it for a few minutes tonight. Um, because I want to do whatever influence I have, I want to do my small part to make sure that people know about this, that writers know about this, and um, as they say, boost the signal on what Todd and now others are saying about cemetery dance. Because I truly, this hit me right where I live, that paragraph, because the horror community, the weird fiction community, and the horror community, the Lovecraftian community, the Easing community, we have to be there for each other. We have to be there for each other. We have to support each other. And when something bad like this happens to someone in the community, we need to support them. I can easily see, as he said, that people have been trying to make the writing community, the horror community, aware of this for 20 years. Um, I can easily see why people would be afraid to speak up for fear of being blacklisted. I We I haven't talked to Todd about this except to email him and tell him, hey, sorry this happened to you, and just offer a little bit of support. But I don't want to speak for Todd Kiesling, but I can imagine I've been in that position for other reasons. Um, Same type of bringing to light um, egregious behavior by someone and worrying that this is going to come back to bite me in the ass. I'm sure these thoughts went through Todd's mind, but you know what? He stood up and he did it anyway. So that takes a lot of courage. I applaud Todd Kiesling for that. Um, and he did it so that others could do it too. I will tell you one thing. I don't. Jesus, I was not aware of it. I wasn't. You guys know me, and if I knew anything about this, I sure as hell would not have had Richard Chismar on my podcast. And it's one thing if one writer says, um, you know, Richard Chismar was a jerk to me and he hasn't paid me on time. Okay, but if everyone else is saying, oh no, he's always paid me on time. I've never been late. I've never had to ask for book royalties or whatnot, or I've never been made fun of by him. Um, that would be one thing, wouldn't it? Depending on the person, he might be believed, he or she might be believed, or they might not be believed. But when one person speaks up and then a hell of a lot of other writers speak up and say, yeah, that's the way it is, and that's the way it has been for a long time, then obviously that is the way it is. So, yeah, and besides that, I mean, pretty hard to explain away screenshots of emails and posts. Apparently, Chismar deleted that Facebook post. Um, but just deleting a post on social media, hate to tell you, but it doesn't mean that you didn't write it. Okay? It doesn't mean that you didn't write it. It just means that you're embarrassed enough to want to delete it. Okay? Um, I never really understood deleting comments on social media or posts because, I mean, shit, it's you still wrote it, and besides, there's probably someone who screenshot it if it was in any way um, calling people out on something, or if it was in any way. Hell, it's been a long day, and I can't think of the word that I need. But it's pretty obvious that this really happened. Todd Kiesling, who I will tell you is a very, very nice guy and a very, very talented writer. What happened was he finally got upset about this and emailed the owner of Cemetery Dance and said, I need my royalties. And the owner of Cemetery Dance, Chesmar, responded by making fun of him, you know? And then he doubled down on it. And when Todd posted that on social media, he doubled down on it and said, you definitely are a funny little man. That's just, in no world is that acceptable. Okay? That's just not acceptable. Um, all this comes as a surprise to me, but it's obviously true. And um, I'm not the HWA, but I want to do my part in supporting Todd and the writers who have been treated this way by Cemetery Dance with whatever influence that I may have. Um, one other thing, too, and then I'm going to let you guys go. I know this is a long program tonight. Todd writes further, again, this is a public post, okay? Uh, I want to thank the StokerCon committee, excuse me, for acting swiftly on the matter and barring Cemetery Dance from taking pitches from new authors at the conference this summer. However, I need to point something out. A year ago, Steve Stred and other authors brought a similar issue of abuse to the attention of the Horror Writers Association regarding the treatment received by editor-publisher Caitlin Marceau of Darklit Press and now of Hedone Press. In some ways, her crimes against the authors were far more egregious than what's happened with Cemetery Dance. I could also point to Cheezines, that's Chizine. I could also point to Cheezine's downfall several years ago, and how Ed Kurtz was ostracized from the community due to his outing of their abusive practices. He had also made an inquiry to the HWA about the matter and was shunned for it. Uh, so again, I'm sure that what happened to Ed Kurtz being ostracized, I'm sure that was going through Todd's mind. Had to be. Again, it took a lot of courage for him to do this. Now, I'm reading from Todd's post again. Before the HWA folks get upset about these facts, I do understand the organization is limited to what it can do about such things, especially when the word lawyer enters the conversation. And I understand that some things are confidential, and their hands may be bound because of this. I won't pretend to understand the many bylaws and legal restrictions to which the organization must adhere. But even if the organization can't address matters from a legal perspective or take direct action, it should at the very least stand with its authors and members whenever situations like these arise. That multiple people have brought forth these issues with multiple presses in the past and were either ignored or brushed off by the HWA organization is an organizational and communal failure. Every time someone cries foul should be taken seriously by all of us. If the organization, still speaking about the HWA, if the organization can't or isn't willing to at least do this, if we can't count on our fellow authors to stand together on something like this, then what are we even doing, folks? Writing is hard enough as it is without having to navigate a minefield. We need to do better, and not just for people with a platform. Uh, I guess that, uh, again, this idea that we all need to be here for each other and stand up for someone who's been wronged, I agree with and identify with strongly. So, as far as the Lovecraft Easing podcast and Mike Davis is concerned, something like that happens, and it's obvious that it did happen, then you have my support, whatever you need. I am doing my small part in spreading the word tonight, even if it is late at night and my brain is starting to fry. Um, and what he says about the Horror Writers Association, Todd makes some valid points. I was a member of the HWA for a while, about a dozen years ago, and I let my membership lapse because I really couldn't see what the friggin' benefit was. Um, it seems like, and maybe this isn't true, but it certainly seems true that the main reason for the HWA's existence is to give out trophies at StokerCon. Um, I won't get into that particular award and why I don't think much of it, but they should be equally enthusiastic about supporting horror writers. After all, that's two-thirds of their name, right? Horror writers. But whoever you are, whether you have the influence of one person and you can influence, one or two people in your life and that's it, or if you can influence thousands, we need to stand with Todd Kiesling and writers, artists, and other creators like Todd Kiesling who have been wronged and have been taken advantage of. So, sorry for the long-winded conversation tonight, or long-winded, a conversation is two people, a long-winded speech by me, but I really wanted to talk about this, and like I said, do my part in supporting Todd. So to wrap up here, let's see here. Jeremiah. Jeremiah says, I asked Todd if the Sundowners danced in the Sundowners dance, but he just laughed and did not confirm if they danced. Ha ha. Jazz says, I've been blacklisted for my politics in some production circles, but I've learned that there are many circles. And Darren says, what did you think of the book Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay? I loved it. It's like that. It's sort of in that um, you know that forbidden film subgenre, um, which I love. We did a Patreon podcast about King in Yellow and that particular subgenre a couple years ago. That was a really great conversation. Really was. Yeah, Darren, I don't think you have to worry about anything. If it's got Paul's name on it, then it's going to be a good short story or novel or, whatever. And my favorite book of his, in case you haven't gotten to it yet, is uh, Disappearance at Devil's Rock. That's just I can't say enough good things about that book. That's a wonderful book. So yeah, pick that up if you haven't read it yet. Seriously. Jeremiah says just re-listened to N, the letter N, and Crouch N today. You recommended them to me years ago. Great stories. Yeah, especially listening to them. I mean, don't get me wrong, Stephen King on the printed on the page is always great. Well, 95% of the time, but he's a damn good writer. Um, but sometimes audio can just add an extra dimension to those words. And with those two stories, it really does. First of all, Crouch End is read by Tim Curry. I mean, enough said, right? Fantastic, man. Fantastic. And In, which is a Stephen King novella, has three narrators. Um, you know, and it 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 it's very Lovecraftian, um, as is, of course, Crouch End. If you've not read In or Crouch End, um, don't listen to the audio versions and email me and tell me what you think. Jeremiah, I really appreciate you telling me that um, you re-listened to them, because that's the deal. I recommend stuff to you guys. You gotta email me or message me and let me know how you liked it. So anyway, this was a long one tonight. Apologize for that. Thanks for sticking with me. Tomorrow is Friday, which for a lot of people means that the weekend's coming up. So thanks for sticking with me, and huge thanks to all of you who are Patreons. And literally, I wouldn't be here without you. So thank you. And I will see patrons tomorrow night at the Patreon Hangout. And I will see everyone Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern with our guest is Kenneth Haidt. And that's always a great conversation. He's very interesting to talk to. Thanks, guys. I'll see you then. Good night.